hello and welcome back. We're continuing our series of tutorials, SQL, Python sort of blended together in our database synchronization application. And we're getting into walking through our relational hierarchy in order to grab data as we need it, particularly when we limit have a certain number of rows we want to pull across from our source to our destination. We need to make sure that we look up the related rows and pull those across as well. So it's going to get a little tricky. We started out last time we just sort of got some basic stuff together. So what you may see is, let me flip back over here. We use this guy quite a bit when we were grabbing our constraint name and table name. And let's switch us over to Giganator, because that's a database we're going to be using today. And whoop, helps to get the name right. There we go. And so we've got a fair amount of, I think that's the one I'm using. Yeah, that's what I'm using. We've got a fair amount of tables. We've got a fair amount of relationships. We've got a lot of these LKP lookup type tables, among others. Got a lot of these like performer performance, which ties a performer to a performance, and of course has its keys. Now what we're doing last time is we had this little smart empty sync. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, we are going to come through and we're going to figure out if a table is something that we can go ahead and load the data for it right away, that it's in our clean section, or is it not? And what we're going to do is let's do, I want to see, how do we want to do this? So the first thing we need to do, which we did last time, was we sort of did this load data and load data for children. So when we run it, and this only runs for one, but we can see here, and I tweaked it a little since our last call. If I can jump up to the top of this somewhere, here we go. Connect to the database, so load data for children. So for performer, and I did, let's see, the table name is the last row. So for the contract table, the performer is tied to it. So there is a foreign key from contract back to performer, which means that performer has to be loaded before contract is. It also means that we may have some issues deleting data. Now, one thing we did in the past is we just went through, if you go, I think this is the sync rows, is we just said, we will just clear everything out. We're going to drop the foreign keys. We're going to truncate all the data. If we want to, we can do that. And what we'll do is, let's just say, let's create a new one, and we're going to call it drop data. And it's also going to be self. It doesn't need max rows. It does need those two. And it's basically that piece. Whoops. But now I got to do this so that it all lines up right. So now I've got this drop data. And what I'm going to do here is, instead of doing this, I'm going to take it out of the sync rows. It is not in the empty sync. And then I'm going to put it here. And this is basically because I don't want to accidentally do stuff sometimes. And let's add a feature flag of D for drop. And that, and if D is in there, then we'll do it. Okay. So, and we'll have to drop, we would have to sync it first. So we should be good. Did we have an all here? We did have an all, but I think we can just do it like this. There we go. And that'll get us some stuff going there. Okay, I think we are good. So now back to this. So we've got our, got our comparison of tables that we need to do. And then we're going to come into, no, it's not main, it's over here. Now, what we want to do for each of these is we can either load the data right away, or we're going to have to get the children first. So for the data that we can load right away, which means that it does not have a parent to worry about, then all we need to do here is, let's see, we're going to do the data sync. And actually what we probably will do, so here we do it by the limit. Okay. So we're going to create like a little one here. And so this is going to be load table data. And it's probably going to need some information. So load table data, we're going to give it a table. And we're going to need our source and our destination, which is sort of par for the course. So let's do this. Let's get our cleanup here. Let's get our startup up here. And then we're going to go in, we're going to do load table data, which is down here. Oh, that's not the one we want. We don't want create missing. There we go, smart empty sync. So here, what we're going to do, I don't know that it matters, but we're going to go ahead and put this in ahead of it just so it's there. Okay. So now what we can do is we can come in and we can say if, oh, that's missing table. I want to go back up here. Where is? Okay. What did I just do? Create missing tables, sync rows. Load table data, smart empty sync rows. Okay. Let's just do it this way. So we want to take that and we want to push that after load table data. Okay. So now we're going to come in here, and here we're going to just do the load. So what we can do is we can do self dot load table data. We're going to give it the table name. And we're off. And we do want to give it, and we're going to have to give it max rows. Whoops. Comma max rows. So in this case, here we go. So this is a straightforward one. And in this case, this is basically what we had before. Let me go to sync rows. It's going to do the same thing. And it's going to do, whoops, load table data for table, comma max rows. Okay. So now we're pulling that. Did I see something weird up there? Nope. Okay. Drop rows, sync. So now we're going to do load table data. We come in here. Now this is going to be a little different for our children. So the last thing we're going to do, let's see, is, so in this case it is a child, which means, so for these, what we need to do is we need to make sure parent is loaded first. And what we want to do is, this is going to be imported tables. So when we get done here, we're going to do, once we're done, we're going to do import tables dot append table. So we're going to go through each of the parents, in this case, which I think is the first row. Let's see, user, yeah, okay. So we're going to go for each of those. We're going to say parent equals, just to do it this way. And then what we want to do is say, how how do we want to do this? So we want to make sure that the parent does a smart, do we want to do it like that? We want to see if the parent has parents. So we probably, this is a good one, because we could just keep calling this, but we'd need to call it for each table. Instead, what we want to do is we want to see, so then what we need to do, let's see. So we're going to do attempt to load parent, and that's going to be our load table data. So if we're going to have one now, it's a little different. It's going to be unlimited. Let's go here, because it's going to be a whole different. So this will be load parent table data, and all I'm going to get here, I will have to pass up max rows. And so this is going to get a little tricky, because what I'm going to do is we have to run this check SQL again for that one. And let's see. So the first thing I want to do is, let's see, check if parent is loaded. So if parent in imported tables, then we'll just say cool. Else try to load the parent. Load the parent. And now we can just say, so let's see, so that's for each of those. And then once we've gone through each of the parents and loaded our way down, then we can do load this table data. So we probably, this becomes interesting, because what we really don't want to do, what we'd like to do is avoid making this call over and over and over again, because that's technically what we're going to have to do each time. So if we look at that, what we could do is, instead of doing it based off that, we could actually store each of these as a key, as a pair. So you'd have a table, and you'd have what its reference table is, and then figure out what its parents are. It seems like that would be, and we're going to call it here anyway, so let's just do that. And so this is now going to be, what we should probably do is for each of those try to load it. This is where we're sort of thinking on the fly a little bit here, because it's like, what do we really want to do in order to get our data, go through all of our tables, and then make sure that the parents are hit first. Now what we're doing here is we're just saying, okay, I'm going to get all of the top parent rows first. Well, it's really not doing that. So actually, let's do it this way. So let's see. So okay, I'm going to change this up a little bit. So what we're going to do first is we're going to import the data for parent rows. And then, and in this case, it's going to be max rows. We know we're good. So every parent is cool. We're going to get its X number of rows. And that's the load table that we've done so far, and all is good. Now, what we need to do here is essentially the same thing. Let's see, so for each table, we're going to do that. Okay, so now we're going to have to do the same thing. This time, we know it is going to be This is going to be, okay, well, we'll leave it. I'll say import data. So these are parents, or these are root tables. And then we're going to come here. And now we're going to do it for non-root tables. And so this is going to be a little more tricky because what we're going to do here is we're going to say for each of these, we're going to come in and we're going to load table, but we're going to need to do it for, we don't really care what max rows are anymore. So we're going to do a table and parent. And this is going to be that load parent table data. Whoop. I hope that's right. Did we have it right like that? Well, we're going to go like this. So let's do it. So load parent table data should be table and parent. Did I do it in that direct? Did I do it in that order? Yep, table and parent. And then I get to append it and say I'm good. Actually, I probably should send imported tables just to be sure, because I can skip it if it's already imported. Yep. And so now, if it is greater than 0, so if it shows up once or more, now I have to do something a little different. Okay, so this is that load data for children. I can get rid of all of that. And I need to make the parent, which is parent equals, what is that? FK, whoop. Oh, I'm going to have to do that for each of the, for, is that how I did it before? Let's see. Let's just call it for row in FK rows. And then parent equals row. It's going to be the, so, whoop. I did the wrong thing. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to come through, and for each of these, we're now going to call this load parent table data. And we're going to give it the table and the parent. And then in here, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to, and the imported rows. Can we check it? Yeah, we probably want to check it here. Because what we're going to do here is we're going to say if parent in imported rows, then we're just going to return. Otherwise, we're going to come in here and we're going to first, so we're going to have a couple things we're going to have to look at here. Because now what we're going to need to do is see if they have a parent, which is basically the same thing here. It's going to look fairly similar, so I may just take the whole thing. But I probably won't. So, okay. So first, I know I'm wishy-washy on this, but let's go here. Let's do this, check SQL, because we're going to need this. So we have to see if, we're going to have to actually do this for a couple times. So this will be good. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we don't need to do for table because we're going to do it just for this one table. And for that table, we're going to figure out what it has. And for each of those, we're going to say if it's 1, then we're going to have to do a special data load. Is that right? Let's see. That's going to get tricky because what we're going to need to do is we're going to say, okay, if our parent has been loaded, that's all we need right now. So we have two cases. Let's see. Let's go back up here. So if parent is loaded, actually, if all parents, because you can have more than one, all parents loaded, load based on data in parent. Else, we're going to have to go in and load the parent. Or, yeah, load each parent not loaded. So it's going to get a little bit tricky as we start running through this. And I think this is a good place to stop. We'll come back around to this and start digging into it. It becomes, like I said, we're slowing down a little bit here because we're getting into some tricky stuff. But I wanted to sort of show the thought process as we're going through this. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a whole bunch of code we're going to fly through, and I think it'll be harder to follow. But as always, you can check out the show notes if you want some. If you have questions, shoot us an email. If you have any questions, info@developinor.com. And other than that, we're going to let you get back to your day. We will be back next time, and we're going to continue trudging our way through this one. Till then, go out there and have yourself a great day, a great week, and we will talk to you next time.